What's up, everybody? My name is By Getroman, and this is Built by Getroman. Welcome. This is our third video, and in this video, we'll be optimizing a solution that we've come up with in our previous two videos that gave us a linear time complexity. Our goal today is to take that solution and optimize it into a constant time complexity. I'm excited. Hopefully we can gain a solution today. If not, there'll be a follow-up to this video. So make sure you subscribe to our updates. There it is. Please subscribe and keep it locked. We'll be right back. Alright guys, what's up? Hope everybody's doing okay. I am doing fine, thanks for asking. And if you haven't, well, you need to. It's only polite. Just kidding. So, as I mentioned, today we will be going over and trying to optimize our solution from 2 videos ago, or the last video actually. And I'm pretty excited. So, this will be a challenge for me, as always, and let's work on this together. Okay, so just to refresh your memory, we're working on 2-number sum, and this is Algo Expert's website. And yes, we are on the easy side of things, quote unquote easy side. For me, like I mentioned before, I don't have a traditional computer science degree. I'm self-taught and looking to improve on my computer science, data structures, algorithms competency. Okay, so let's open up 2-number sum and let's kind of review what exactly and where exactly we left off. So we've come up with a solution that helped us. Let me make sure this passed one more time before. Yep, all the code has passed. We passed all the tests that are available to us here in this website. So we come up with a solution that basically gave us a linear time complexity, which is actually polynomial, time complexity correction, because we use 2 for loops that is doing the same work on one data set. So it's basically 2 to some power, because there are 2 loops. So it's 2 O of n squared, anything that's squared, correction. And I hope I'm saying that right, and we will find out soon enough. I'm very sure a few of you will comment below about what I am saying, whether it's right or wrong. But hey, that's why I'm here, right? I'm here to publicly learn publicly. Tomato, tomato. Okay. So our solution works. Case in point. And I want to work on solution 2. And in this solution, I want to get our time complexity down to a constant time complexity. Okay, so that's O of 1, the big O of 1, where the time complexity, whatever's being passed in as an input, there will be a constant selection of a node or of an index in an array. So basically, to me, that means, hey, I have a deck of cards, and I have a stack of cards. Within those deck of cards, let's say 10 different cards, and I always say, hey, pick me the second one. Every time I give you this data set of 10 cards, always pick me the second one. I want the second one all the time. That's pretty good, because you know where you're going. It's tied to a number, it's tied to some sort of memory. That's a lot easier than traversing through the deck of cards to find a random card. I equate that to an array where you're traversing through the array, and that array could be, you know, small, mid, or large as far as the amount of elements in that array. So we need to move away from, or try to move away from, a linear time complexity into a constant time complexity, where we're, instead of traversing through an array or traversing through a deck of cards, we would have a specific slot to select, a specific memory slot to select that card, and it doesn't matter how big the deck of cards is, and doesn't matter how big the data set is. So I'm thinking that we can use an object that has some sort of key value pairs tied to it. Obviously, you need a key value pair in there. In JavaScript, I don't have like a specific way, at least that I know of yet, to write any linked list inside the object. But I'm just gonna use an object in its rawest form that I know, and try to drum up some strategies on how to accomplish that, how to use an object as my storage place to accomplish a constant time complexity. So let's get to it. So I'm gonna start this timer. Boom, we have a timer up, and I'm gonna reset the timer here to 25 minutes. And again, for those who are new here, and if you don't know if you don't know the breakdown of how I do things with at least live coding, I use the Pomodoro technique. So look it up. But long story short, there are increments of 25 minutes of work time and 5-minute breaks, and we run that back to back for about 4 times, roughly. All right, so let's start the timer here. Let's make sure that's working. Awesome. All right, guys. So we know what we have to do in terms of, well, we know what we're working with, right? We have an array of some arbitrary set of numbers. We have a target sum, some arbitrary target sum, and that is determined by the test case, which, if again it's your first time here, Algo Expert provided us with some test cases to work with. All right, so I'm gonna hide that for now. So my first step is to mind map this, right? So mind mapping, I'm gonna switch to a different screen here, and let me make sure this is showing. It should show this. Yep, it's working. Awesome. All right, so I'm gonna go live here. Let me give me a sec to set up. But basically, what I'm trying to accomplish is, every time I tackle a coding challenge, I want to kind of just draw it out on a whiteboard, if you will, and try to like get an understanding of what's in my head, right? So we're going to follow the small framework that works to our favor as far as solving coding challenges. It's called Reacto, right? It's an acronym that stands for a few different words, but I'm actually gonna link to the video that allowed me to use this below. So if you're interested to doing that, so I don't have to keep repeating this every video, what Reacto means, but I'll do it for the last time. Third time's a charm. The R is basically and is the repeat word, the word repeat, right? So whenever you start a coding challenge, you repeat the question over and over. Then you give an example of that question in some sort of like mind mapping, drawing out of pictures or words, whatever works for you, so that it can make sense to you and the actual person interviewing you, right? Then the A is for the approach, right? Like, what's your approach? Is it a recursive approach? Is it an iterative approach? Or is it the kind of like the mathy way approach, the mathematical approach? Then the code, the C is the code. So pseudocode or actual code itself. And then the testing of that code, which is kind of just walking through it, I guess, in a whiteboarding sense, because you don't have any unit tests to run it against on. So it'll be like kind of working through it, make sure it all works. Or if you're on a computer, you hit the enter and it'll run. And the O is the optimization piece, right? So that's today. we're on the optimization piece, right? In a few minutes, I'll show this picture that I'll link in the description. The optimization piece is what we're working on now, and that's just basically me wanting to, as I mentioned earlier, get this solution to constant time. Okay, that's kind of where we're at. Okay, so that's the acronym. So I'm gonna run by this acronym framework one more time from the beginning, since we're coming up with a second solution, right? So with that being said, let's see how far we can get. All right, so let me just check my time. I have 21 minutes. All right, and that's a little window to my setup there. And hey, if you guys want to start a YouTube video channel, you know, by the time you watch this, I've probably got like 15 to 20 videos in already, because this is recorded way before my interview, and I'm gonna release it past my interview during September. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you would like to learn a little bit more about how to record YouTube videos, because I'll have a little experience only, but enough to like, hey, this is what works for me, this is what didn't work for me, this is how I got to this point. All right, so if you're interested, let me know. Or if you want to be on here, you know, on Google Hangouts doing a pair programming session, if you want to pair up on a coding challenge, that'd be awesome. So DM me on Twitter, Getroman_dev. You can find me there, or shoot me an email at getroman.dev@gmail.com, or hit me up in one of my social media channels. You'll find me at my website, getroman.dev. So hit me up. Anyway, so we know we have a function called two-number sum. So we have this array coming in as our data, right? So this is our input. Okay, just gonna throw in some random numbers. Okay, throw one more. Why not? I'm drinking my water real quick. It's actually water today. All right, so I know that in the previous solution I had to loop through this array somehow with a for loop and make some comparisons, right? And the way I did it before is that I created a second for loop that started here at, this was I plus 1, which is basically moving from here down to here as the starting point, as the pointer, right? That's the pointer here. So here's the pointer. Now I need to figure out how to like shift from that mindset and use an object. Let's use this storage bin, this bucket of available space that I can use that takes key value pairs, and somehow use that to track numbers of some sort, swap out values in either the key or value with what's being looped through or passed in, what's being looped through in the array. So I don't know. I need to figure that out now. So, but all I know is that the data set that I'm using, let's say storage, kind of the words I like to use. Is going to be an object that has and holds key value pairs, right? Right? So I know, just like arrays, I know that objects have methods that are tied to it, right? Because it's a class, right? And that class has many many methods or prototypes of that's available for the use, right? And those methods basically are accessible for me to use. So I need to keep that in mind. So I know that this object has superpowers, if you will, that will allow me to go and do some stuff, right? So I'm thinking, if I had an object, right, we'll call this, let's just throw it out here. We know what it's called, storage. What am I trying to do here? What exactly do I want to do with this? I know I have a key, right, that has some sort of value that I can use, but what would be the ideal situation, right, that I can do with, that I need to kind of think about with this key value pair? So let me think a bit here. Good, I got 15 minutes. So I'm looping through this array, right? There is no second loop. I kind of want to stay away from this. We don't want that. Or do we? We kind of have to. We kind of have to get rid of the second loop, right? If I loop through the array once, let's erase this here, get this out of the way. All right, so if I loop through the array once, what is the connection between these two storage bins, if you will, data structures? So if I'm going through here, right, if I have the pointer set at 1, I could take each of these numbers, right? Take each of these numbers and put them in the object. Do I need to take each of these numbers and put each one of these numbers in its own key value pair? Do I want to do that? What is the advantage of that? Right? So let's map this out. What if I did that? What would that leave me? Could be heading down a rabbit hole that I don't need to head down. But let's just work it through here on here first before we get into like pseudocode. So what if I said, so this will be dynamically, right? So I'll have an empty object and I hit number 1, which is index 0, right? This comes down over here. I've added dynamically, and I'll say, what would I call this? I'll call this value? No, I would call the key, so how would I increment? So if I call this 1, let's just say it's num, right? Is the key, and I pass the number 1 from this slot, from this element, right? Then I move down here to element 1, and move that over here as well, and did this, how would that be helpful? Like, first of all, this will be in some strings, and can I call this? Can I even make that the same string, the same identifier, the same key in two different spots? Properties, right? Two different properties. Can those keys be named the same? That's a question I need to figure out. I need to Google that. So I'm gonna write a little Google slot here. So I'll come back to that in a sec. Can I name same key? It's a little note for myself. I made up here. Alright, come back to that later. But you know, just thinking out loud here. If I'm storing all this stuff, right, and I move on, call that something else. I might have to change the name here because we're using the same key name, right? Let's close this. Alright, let's just clean this up a little bit. What is the advantage? So if I'm storing these numbers, 1, 2, 3, I need to somehow have a mechanism to add those numbers up. But I can't do that. At least I can't think of a way to do that in the object. So if I needed to find, for example, let's just say I was able to get this working in this object here with these key value pairs inserted, how would I even add these numbers up to get a value, to get the, what's it called? The variable here they want? The target sum, right? So if the target sum equaled 5, right? If our target sum was 5, how would I even get the object to work for me in a way that I'm able to take the values in this key value pair to work for me in a way that I can make some additions, do some math to find the number there. I'm gonna do a Google search. How about that? So I'm going to do a Google search and see how this can work here. So let's switch screens. Okay. How much time do I have? 8 minutes. All right, guys, we're in the thick of it, right? I get stuck a lot. I need to figure out some solutions and some strategies on how to use an object to my advantage here. How do I even like begin to think in a way where I can use this object to store the numbers, and like where am I doing the math? How am I storing the numbers? Am I doing the math before I push into before I add the property, the key value pair in the object? Or is there some method that this object has that I can use to add all the numbers and do all that like magic? I need to look that up. So my first query to Google is basically, I don't know, how to add values in an object, or can I even do that? Maybe that'll lead me in the right direction. So this is how I do it. I just try to navigate my way into a solution or some rabbit hole that'll take me hours. I need to kind of stop myself and regroup. But let's see. So I'm gonna go with this. Let me make this bigger so you guys can see here. How can I add a key value pair to JavaScript? I know how to do that. I'm going to have to actually revisit that as well. Object values. What's this here? I'm using this a couple of times. All right. So the object values. Method returns an array of given own enumerable property values in the same order that the provided for a for and loop. The only difference is that a for and loop enumerates properties. Okay. So when we get values, we use the values method. We pass in the object. And you get, you just get the values. Okay, yeah, I used this before. It's been a while. All right, so could I use that to my advantage? It returns an array of all the values of that object would be would be the same as the original data set, which is the original array that's I'm using. So I don't know what value this object.values has for me right now. It's not hitting me. I don't think it does anything for me besides just grab the values of that object and return and it turns it into an array, which is what I really have to work with. So that's not hitting any kind of spark in my head at the moment. Maybe I need to query this a little different. So what am I trying to do here? Use an object for constant. What am I asking? How to use an object to achieve EVE constant. Why can I spell constant? Constant time in JavaScript. Yabba. Cool. So is there anything that generates constant time for accessing? What is this guy asking here? For accessing a property of an object in JavaScript. This is regards to a debate I had with an interviewer when I was interviewing at Amazon. Hey, I'm interviewing in 2 weeks. God help me. Yeah, man. Hey, I take every opportunity and I put 100% into it. If I don't win, I learn from the loss. And if I win, I learn from the win. It's a win-win. You know what I just thought about? I could use reading this, just totally kind of answer my question regarding am I on the right screen here? Yes, I am. The question I had as to how I'm going to answer this part. How do I keep all of those keys different? So, what just hit me in reading this Stack Overflow solution or response is that I can use as the key the index, the indices, these things up here. I can take those indices and throw them in the key. So that'd be like the unique identifier. How is that gonna help me? I do not know yet. But it's just going back to that question I had in my head about how I can use it. Which brings up another question in my head. How is that any different than the array itself? Because it also has index and a value, right? Essentially that's what it is. Like it has an index and the value, which is whatever the element, right? The value of the element. And the object has key value pairs, almost the same thing. So again, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. I can use the indices to identify each of those properties when it comes to like making each of these keys different, right? So going back to our Stack Overflow query that we made. So JavaScript does not give any complexities guarantees whatsoever. Interesting. I know that the accessor operator square brackets gives a seasoned programmer the impression that he's dealing with an O1 lookup structure. Oh. Yes, you are. This is a reasonable expectation. Engines employ all kinds of optimizations from hidden classes over hash maps to dynamic arrays to meet these assumptions. Of course, never forget that JS objects are complex beasts, and accessing a simple property might trigger a getter trap that in turn could do anything. Can it be possible for JavaScript engines to implement objects in a way that the properties are not looked up in constant time? Yes, that's possible. All right, kind of helped me, but kind of didn't at the same time. So actually, we're gonna stop there. We're actually in our first Pomodoro break. So we will jump into this break and I'll see you in about 5 minutes. All right, guys, we're back. What's up? So let's set this timer one more time here. All right, and let's jump back into this. There we go. Awesome. All right, so we are searching for Google for some clarity. As to, is there something that, I don't know, some sort of magic that I can use in this object to help me add numbers, the values together with some other operator that I'm going to use, which I'll probably use as, target sum or something, the number for target sum, and make some comparisons of some sort, because there has to be some comparisons here. That's why I'm trying to wrap my head around that. And my logic may be off. Maybe this bad logic could lead me to, like, there's some light at the end of the tunnel where I can use that this wrong approach to help me get to the right approach. So I do not know. Let's see if we can figure this out. So let's continue with our queries. All right. Intro to hash tables, JS objects under the hood. Oh, we're at dev. Okay, dev 2. I actually have articles on here, guys, so check my articles out. I'll link that in the description as well. Please give me a like, and if you're not on dev, get on. Okay, so let's do some reading here, guys. Live learning. This is it. This is like part of the process of trying to code, trying to solve coding challenges and coding in general. Okay. All right, hash tables is what appears to be a key value pair there. It's a lot of text here. I don't know if I want to go through this at the moment. I may be hitting a wall at this point. I might have to, like, kind of take what I have and, like, just rethink the logic a little bit. What am I trying to ask? What am I trying to ask? Hey, code gods. What am I trying to ask? Give me some answers. What am I thinking? What am I trying to ask you? Because I'm not asking the right question on Google. That's the key right there. Getting the right Google query on Google to lead you into the right direction. Not quite happening. Look at the code. In our first solution, we had two for loops. We don't want two for loops. We can use one and use that one to use that one for the object we're looking to use to, like, push it up there somehow. On the right screen. Okay. Cool. I'm gonna do this from scratch. Let me start it over. All right, so I had a question about. I asked myself, do I need to do some like math of some sort before I even think about the object, before there's entry from the array to the object? Do we do math? Is there math involved? That's where my headspace is at now. Is there math involved? Right, because in the other solution we did some math in the nested for loop. Yeah, in the nested for loop we did some math to do some comparison of some sort. Then right after that we did the second for loop. So I wonder if there's some like math that needs to be done while the thing is looping, right? Does this come first, and then this second, and then this third? Oh, by the way, we've passed the R. We're well into the E part, the examples. Okay. This looks like another approach I can think about is looping through. I need to loop through the array, do some math, which is confusing me because like how am I gonna do that without the second loop? I just use the index, the index, and just compare them, and if they equal the target sum, and then you got the pair. But something cool has to happen in this part here, the math, right? And if the math, right, that'll give us a value of some number, some integer of some sort. Return in the sense that like I'm not using a function, but like it'll give us a number, right? We can use that number for something, but what's the hell is that something? All right, let me create some space. Oh, did I lose? Oh, there you go. It's a little behind. This thing is great, by the way, guys. Remarkable. I'm not sponsored by them by any means, but great tool. All right, so we got the math part, the loop. As I'm looping through each of those, what am I using for the math? I'm taking, or what do we have to work with? Right, what are the two parameters? I'm missing the other parameter. Right, I know I have the array, but I have target sum. So what is target sum doing for me in this madness here? I'm just gonna add target sum at the bottom here. Target sum is doing what for me? Target sum is what? I don't know, let's say we're looking to achieve the number 5 as target sum. So I have target sum. That could be part of the math. There's a number there. Then I have I also have the indices in the array as a set of numbers that I can use. So these things here, and I also have these things here. These things, like, they don't have names. I have the index that I can use, and I also have those elements, the values of those elements that I can use for some math. Since I don't have that second for loop. Think, Ed, think. Two, zero, in this case. No, actually, we're starting with 1. We're at 1. There's no nested for loop.
Sorry, I don't know that.
I'm not talking to you, Alexa. Alright, I'm just gonna use the target sum of 5. So imagine our target sum is 5, and we're using this array up here, right? And we want to achieve 5, so we want to find a pair. All right, but I'm trying to figure out how's the math gonna achieve that for me. So 5. Let's say we're at 2, right? 5. I don't know, plus 2? What the hell does that do for me? 6, 7. What does 7 do for me? 7 does nothing for me that I can think of. 5 minus 2. 3? What the hell does 3 do for me? I don't know. Okay. 3. Do I need to, like, divide or something? It leaves me some floating point number. Goes in, 2 point whatever left over. Do I multiply the number? I don't think I need to multiply. So 3. I'm going to erase this one. I'm going to erase this one here. I remember in school back in the day, finding the difference of something was always like that. Math, when you first learned your your additions and subtractions, like when you got to like 2nd grade, it was like, oh, now you need to like subtract things by, or finding the difference of something by subtracting it. That was always confusing as a kid. So I figured like that's something that we can use to find some sort of solution, some sort of math. So if I have the target sum and the element we're on, which is 2. I'm not doing with time. 10 minutes. And we get a result of 3. What is this 3 doing for me if at the current moment we're sitting at 2? We're sitting at 2. what is that 2 doing for me? Five minus 2. Could I use that somehow for a pair? For some pair? Or something? It's not hitting me. This is not registering right now. And I'm wondering if I'm heading in a different rabbit hole with this actual like math. I'm hung up on this math part that worked in the first solution that is not necessarily working in the second one for me now, at least now, by using subtraction or addition or multiplication on these numbers that I have that are available for me, that I feel like I should be using them somehow, but I'm trying to manage and figure out how to use them. So yeah, that's not registering. I'm gonna erase this. Actually, no, I'm gonna keep it because it could do something for me later. All right. What I could do is search through Google. Maybe I'll find something there that'll help me. Target some element. Let's just traverse to the array. Let's just, I guess, do other numbers and see what happens. I guess see if something registers or I find a pattern of some sort. Competition thinking, right? Let me put my competition thinking hat on and try to find patterns. Try to use the decomposition part and try to like find patterns within it. So, and which is something I totally forgot to use. It's been a while. So, competition thinking. I'm gonna add that to my strategies. It's been. I usually do use it, but it's, it didn't register to use it right now. So let me try to find some patterns, I guess, here and just kind of continue down the line. So if I did 5 minus 1 is 4. Here would be 5 minus 3. So this side is the array, the elements in the array going down. All right. This will be 2. What's next? Oh yes, 5 minus 4 is 1. 5 minus 6, it's like negative 1. Now what's the last number? 8. 5 minus 5, 6, 7, 8. That's minus 3. So in here, is there some pattern recognition, some patterns I need to like pick up from here? So I'm getting 4, 3, 2, 1. So the pairs are what? I'm trying to achieve 5 as target sum. The pairs live right here. Oh wait. Yeah. Well, yeah. I kind of knew that. The pair lives here, right? It's actually right here. this is the pair. Holy crap, wait, am I discovering a pattern of some sort by using my computational thinking hat? I think so, Eddie. Alright, so 5 minus 2, which is target sum, is 5. 2 is the current element 1, gives us 3. Right? 5, 2, 3. Well, the next one, 5 minus 3 equals 2. 2 plus 3. I don't know how I would even get to that part just yet. 2 plus 3 is 5. We all kind of know that part, but that 5 equals the target sum, which is the number 5, which is actually the thing we want. How am I doing with time? I got 4 minutes. Okay. Now I'm gonna continue to decompose this math part, the set of numbers that we have here, and see if there's any other patterns I can pick up or something. So 4, if we're up here and we hit the 4, we add the 1, that's 5 as well. Now hold up. That is also 5. That is also 5. So this one and this one is also 5. So we got ourselves another thing here. So 4 plus 1 equals 5. That also adds up to 5. Okay, so 2 possible pairs. Now, do they have to be concurrent? Like yeah, I don't know. Like when I get to these, when I hit these numbers, well, I have to group them first, and take. Okay, let me back up. 5 minus 6. Let's just continue. Getting ahead of myself. Is there a pattern or a pair here? 3. Oh, let's just take these 2. I don't know. Process of elimination. Minus 3, minus 1. No, I don't think that even matters. So, ladies and gents, we have some more information to work with. Maybe another rabbit hole for me, but it's definitely some more information than more information than what I had before, and I'm gonna work with it and see where it takes me. I got a minute left and some change. I need to keep counting how many Pomodoros I'm at, so I'm gonna just make a markup here. Note to self. Alright. Yeah, so we have some pairs. Something here is working for us. With in regards to like these numbers, when I add them, and nucleus, kidding. When I add them, they equal to 5, and I have another one here. When these two results are added to each other, they also equal to 5, which is target sum. Okay, so I definitely could work with that. Not sure how what process I would use to like continuously to do the math and go from one index to the other. There has to be a loop of some sort. I think this is where this comes from. Okay, and I need to store the result somehow of the result of this addition, and use that somehow. And maybe that's where the object comes in. I can like store it in the object, I guess. Store the result in the object. Store the two numbers being compared in the. I need to figure that part out. But I feel better that I have some more information to work with. Okay, so let me just check on the time. Okay, it's actually break time. So before I go into this next Pomodoro break, as I was saying, I feel a lot better about what I'm working with as far as Intel, and the math part makes a little bit more sense to me as far as like taking the target sum. First understanding that what information I have already to use that can help me steer me in a way where I may get a solution. So target sum was one of them. Since I have an array being given to me with values inside of the array, I can use those. I can also use the indices as a mechanism to add or subtract things. I went with the index, all the values in the index, and the target sum that's being passed into me, because those are the two parameters that I have, and the arguments that are coming in are those are the arguments that are coming in, right? So I need to use that somehow. So for some odd reason, I got some more information. Not odd reason, for great reasons, I got some more information that I can use for this somehow, because they're equaling out to 5, and I may be heading in the wrong direction, but let's see, right? So 3 plus 2 is 5, 4 plus 1 is 5, and I'm gonna use those numbers. I need to figure out, when we come back from this break, I want to figure out next how can I use those numbers, and check in the prompt on Algo Expert, is there something that says the pairs have to be, can it be scattered within the array, or do they have to be like, is it concurrent is the right term? Do they have to be one behind the other? You know, do they have to be sitting next to each other, basically, in the array? So after the break, we'll find out. Enjoy your break, and I'll see you in 5 minutes. Alright guys, welcome back. Let's set this timer back up here before I continue. We have our timer 25 minutes, and we have cool. Alright, there we go. So I enjoyed that break. I need a breather for a sec there. There's a lot going on in my head. Right? I'm just trying to figure out how can I just get it down to one loop. That's like step number one. And I know using this object is gonna help us. So we left off basically getting some sort of, recognizing a pattern of some sort. So I want to use that to do something, right? We know that at a certain point, these numbers is going to help us to find a pair of two numbers that's going to equal out to target sum. Okay, so let me jump to another screen here. Cool. There we go. All right. So I loop, I do some math, there's a pattern happening. I can use those set of numbers, just need to figure out how. And so that's step two. Step three would be using the data structure of an object, using an object somehow to as a replacement of the second loop. When in our first solution, when we found that using two loops would work, that gave us a time complexity of a polynomial time complexity. So when n is power to a number, or power to whatever arbitrary number, that makes it a polynomial time complexity. And hopefully I'm saying that right. If not, comment below. Correct me. I need corrections sometime. But we need this object to help us replace that second for loop. Okay, so while I'm going through this math part, finding those numbers, I have one loop, at least one loop happening. Boom, boom, boom. I'm using target sum and subtracting that with those elements. I know that at a certain point, the results would add up to 5. 3 and 2 adds up to 5, and 4 and 1 adds up to 5, which is the actual target sum. But while that's happening, I need to somehow place it in here as some storage place to make some sort of comparison there. Like, where's the comparison part is the part I'm hung up on. All right, you got the math, we got the loop, but where's the comparison part? And I'm just relating that to our first solution, right? Because we have, in our first solution, we had used two loops, and we made the comparison inside the nested loop. So that's the part where I need to replicate by using an object somehow. So, and what's stuck in my head is getting this to constant time. And I actually, like, now that I think about it, I wonder if I need to just get it down to linear time before I even jump the gun and go to constant time, which is a better time complexity. Because my first solution is O of n squared. I need to get down to O of n. And then maybe in another video, I'll try to do something else, but if I don't get it to be constant time. So I want to just get down to one loop. And how much time do I have? 20. Cool. I need like a dinger or a buzzer or something. I don't want to keep switching screens. So, let's think about this. Let's mind map this a little more like we did before. If I get an object where, I'm sorry, if I have numbers, right? I'm looping through this, I'm getting 1. 1 minus 5. 5 minus 1 is 4. So let's imagine that is happening in some, I'm gonna just kind of go with the same approach as before and store that in a variable. So when I say before, in the first solution we had, what are we calling this? Naming conventions. Jesus. Get out of the house now. Let's see. Let's call it match. Or first integer. Let's call it match. Oops. Let me change the screen here. We're down here. Okay. Equal. So we're playing with target sum. Right? Minus the value. Minus the value that's sitting here. 1, 2, 3, one of these bad boys. And this is a mess. Look at all this. Jesus. Minus value. Okay. Gets us one of these numbers over here. Okay. And I'm gonna say that's happening within the loop. This is, actually no, that's not clear. This is happening within the loop, right? So in loop. Okay. That's happening in the loop. I'm making the comparisons. And then I'm storing the result. I could call this result. Result of something. I like that better actually. Just because it's a little bit more descriptive for me at the moment. So get rid of all this here. We're gonna call this. So this is in the loop. We're gonna say let result of what? I just say result. Stop making it difficult. I just call result. We'll name it later. Who cares right now? Results. Okay. So this is happening in the loop. Let result equals target sum minus value. That'll get us one of these numbers up here. And I need a way to store it because I'm just gonna keep going through. I need a way to say, so the loop is happening. I need a way to push this number in the object, I think. I don't draw this up. What am I saying right now? Say we got this huge object here, right? We get a result. We're looping through. Just draw the array since we're on a different page. We're gonna say the array is up here. And what's the numbers I had again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8. Nice. All right. Let's go. Cool. We loop to the array and we get results. Target sum minus value. Target sum is 5. We know that this is 5 minus value, so 5 minus 1. And we said that, oh yeah, that's all done up there. That's 4. If I wanted to use that in the object somehow, key value pair, 4 would be stored as the value, 4 would be the key. Would be the key. The key would be 0 index, 1 index, and if those numbers add up, then we take those 2 indices. Huh? Maybe index. Right, because the result of, go back. Why is that one not there? There you go. Okay. 1. This 1, the end result of the math, which is taking this 1 minus the target sum, is 4, which will be stored here as a value. That 4, the representation of 1 being used in this math, the result of that is 4, but the ID where it actually sits, where it's being represented at, sits in index 0. So does that go there? Do we say 0? I mean, it has to be a string of some sort. Does that have to be a string? Okay, let's just use that. I can figure out the actual like type of data set. I mean yeah, which primitive data structure I'm going to use as far as like the representation a little later. All right, so if I added the next pair, right, we're done with 1. Let's cross that out. Now if I take target sum 5 minus 2, what happens there? Right, we did the math, right? So that's 3, right? Did the math up here. So do we just add another key value pair? Let's say 3, which that's being represented. So the 3 is representing the value of 2, which is the end result of the math here. That's kind of how I'm thinking, right? So, and that sits in index 1. So do I put the index 1 here, or am I making this harder than what it needs to be? All right, take that out there so I can read this thing. All right. Now since, okay, I'm just gonna work with this. It's either another rabbit hole or an actual like solution or path to the solution. How am I doing with time here? 9 minutes. I have Alexa. Alexa, set timer for 9 minutes and 10 seconds.
9 minutes and 10 seconds, starting now.
Awesome. Okay, so now that I have a pair, because I need to return a pair, do I need to account for that in the code as well and say, hey, for every two elements, so let me cross that out. So for every 2 elements that I loop through and store in an object, do I add those values? Like, do I stop and say, do a check at this point? Do I do a check at this point for every 2 elements that I go? And which I also need to figure out is, do those pairs need to be like one after another, or can they be scattered? Because if they're scattered, then I have a different situation I need to account for. But I'm gonna go back and read in a sec. But so for every pair, do I stop and do a check to see if those 2 numbers add up to the target sum? So when I say 2 numbers, I'm talking about these 2 here. Do I take these 2 numbers and add them and if they equal to the target sum, which in this case it doesn't, that's a no, it doesn't. But if it doesn't, then I keep it moving. All right, so it's 2 cases. If it doesn't, do I remove the object or delete all the properties from the object so I can get a fresh set of space so I can add 2 new properties and make comparisons there? So is this my comparison gateway? Is that where I need to compare? Is what I'm thinking? Is that the place where I need to start comparing these 2 numbers here? Right? So if it's not 5, do I blow all this away and create and like use another object? Like replace that object again? Empty it out and replace it, not necessarily create a new one. I'm not making a copy of this. Like, I'm not taking a copy and moving here. It's not what I want to do. I just want to like delete that. If there's no match between these numbers. But if there is a match, so if we get another version where what was it? Which pair was it that actually that added to so the 2 and 3. Okay, cool. So these 2. So 1, 2. Oh wait. I compare those 2 numbers. Okay. So I need a way to always take the index. I'm here, I compare it to this one. I'm here now in 2, and then compare it to this one, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's just incrementing and comparing to I plus 1. Okay, so the next two pair of numbers that I'm working with is 2 and 3, and we know 2 and 3 oh no, wait, what am I doing? Yeah, 2 and 3. I'm bugging. The end result of 2, 5 minus 2. Alright, so let's do it here. My madness in my head. Or my scribbling. Okay. So we're gonna say key value. Right, we take index 2. I'm sorry, 1. Index 1. Index 1, and that's gonna give us the target sum 5 minus the value of 2, which is hard to see here. Sorry guys if this scribbling is confusing you. This is my mind mapping, my way of taking chaos and throwing it on paper and seeing what sticks and what doesn't. But anyway, 5 minus 2 gives us 3, right? Yes. So the value is 3. Okay. So 3 is the representation, the end result of the math that's representing the slot or indices of 1. Okay. I increment to the next element, which is 3, and do some math here. So 5 minus 3 is 2. So down here, that would get pushed or added dynamically to the object as 2, and the key would be the indices where 3 sits. Alright, so 0, 1, 2. Now, do I do a comparison here? I stop after I do after I move to a pair of 2 indices, 2 elements up here, right? And do I say 3 and I do a check? Do I get the values here and do a check? Plus 2 does equal 5, right? Does equal 5, so that's a yes, and that's the pair. That's the pair. That's the pair, and then I need to take this pair out, and I can use object dot values. Remember that from earlier? Actually, I can use this. Hey, cool. So there's some object dot values. So basically, object dot values. This will be the pair that equals to 5, and I just take the values here, and then what I get returned is an array. It pumps out an array. 3, 2, which would be the pair, and I return that. Using object.values after the match is made, but there's a comparison that I need to do here. Right? The values that are pumped out, the values that I get, every 2 values, which I also need to wrap my head around. Like, how do I say hey after draw here. When I get to this one, do math. When I get to this one, do math. Stop. Make a comparison, throw it in the object. Alexa, stop. Do the comparison, and if it's 5, take those values and return it. Return the pair. I mean, that's getting me to a point where I'm not using a second loop at this point. So I'm actually getting it down to O of n, time complexity of O of n. All right, so small progress. We'll take another break and enter. I think this is our 3rd break. So after this, we have one more Pomodoro session, and then we'll recap. We'll recap as to how far we got. No, what we did so far, and talk about next steps. So, but anyway, before we get there, please enjoy the next break, and I'll see you in a few minutes.
So
Alright guys, so we are in our last Pomodoro focus time of 25 minutes. So I would like to spend these 25 minutes getting into this, where is it? Sheesh. The C, where is it? Reacto. The C part of Reacto. Alright, so actually, so the A, the approach, would be here. Now that I've thought about it, would be an iterative approach still. So I'm just gonna hang on to that as my approach. So let's chalk that up as an iterative approach. So I want to get to the C part, which is the actual pseudocode. At least just get some pseudocode in for the last 25 minutes, and start taking all this scribble and Scrabble that I went through for the past, I don't know, hour and some change, and formalize it and try to make some sense where we can turn it into pseudocode that will help me start actually like writing code, functional code that works and that makes sense and legible, and hopefully gets a solution. But let's take it one step at a time. All right. So I'm going to, I left off at this page here, basically turning it into like 3 steps. Like step 1 would be looping through the array. It's hard to see under all this scribble. I apologize, but it makes sense to me because I wrote it and it's for me, and I need to improve on this. Erasing and writing things in, or using new pages to explore ideas. But yeah, so there's a loop involved, there's some math involved, and there's a third part that I thought about was using the storage bin of an object, right? So I'm just gonna write it here just to be a little more hopefully clear to myself, so I don't lose myself. So there's a loop involved, there's some math involved, and there is an object involved for storage purposes of some sort. All right, so I'll stop here, putting down the pen, and I want to take what I have here and get into our scratch pad on Algo Expert and start piecing this together. Okay, but before I do that, let me switch screens here. What am I doing here? Okay, cool. All right, and let me reset the timer so we can start from scratch. Boom. Let's see. Awesome. Timer's up. Pomodoro timer's up. Tomato, tomato. All right, so let's get our prompt, our scratch pad going. So here's the notes we took the last time from our notes and mind mapping of the ideas I have floating around my head, and you know, we turned that into this for the first solution, right? But now we need to create a second solution, and I'm just going to create some space for the second solution down here. I don't want to delete this. All right, so solution number 2, right? IPO, input process, output. All right, what would be step number 1? What would be step number 1? So I kind of need the scratch pad next to me, the notes next to me. Let me see. Let me move this to another screen. If this can help. Let's see. Boom. What if I did this? And what if I just created this tab over here? Let's create another copy. No, that doesn't work. I need to minimize this actually. All right. Okay. I think we got it. Boom, boom, skippy doo bop bop. Okay, let me get to the scratch pad. Awesome. Let me switch screens. Make sure we're watching the right screen here. Yep. Awesome. All right. So, my other screen, I have lined up our mind mapping here of our whiteboard. And where did that start? That started down here. Right here. Awesome. All right. So let's get this into some notes. How much time do I have? Alexa, set timer for 22 minutes.
22 minutes, starting now.
All right, it's my backup alarm. So what's first? I need to, what did I say? Loop. So so we create a for loop. What kind of for loop am I using here?
Here's a station you might like.
Alexa,
90s hip hop.
Stop. Cállate la boca. Create a for loop. I'll do a for of loop. Actually, I haven't used that in a bit. So create a for of loop. That will loop through the array. Thank you. Spell check. Loop through the array. Okay. So the math is happening in the loop, right? So we're looping through the array. Whoa. 2. Create a for loop that will loop through the array. 2. Actually, let's check. Let's grab the elements, right? So we need to grab the elements. Grab the element and store that store it in a variable. So the reason I do this is for clarity. I don't know if there's a performance hit on that. I have to look into that. Maybe that question will be answered later. But like every time I loop through some sort of data, I like to have a variable that isolates that element, because it's like it's obvious to me that that's what it's doing, and it helps me. I just don't know if there's a performance hit, but I'm gonna continue to do it until I learn otherwise. So if you know if there's a performance hit, please let me know. Comment below, hit me up, and let me know if that's the case, and show me some documentation. Let's sit and talk about it, because I would like to know the answer to that question. It's creating another variable. How much memory does that take up? And we're talking about JavaScript here, so yeah. Anyway, so grab the element and store it in the variable, right? Like I did before in the first solution. And then what's the second thing? In the for loop, there's some math going on. What a hot mess this scratchpad is. This whiteboard. Let me make some sense of it. The math, I'm looping through each thing. I need to grab the target sum. Grab the target sum, and so the target sum and element I'm currently iterating through, right? And I'll do like a 3.1 here. So create a variable here called, so we create a variable, just say, what did I call it? Result. And apply the math, which is target sum minus, let me just do this here. What did I say? Minus value. Target sum minus value. Okay. So I'm looping through the array, grabbing the element so I can use that to compare. Grab the target sum and element. Wait, I already did that. So grab the target sum. I'm doing this. Grab the target sum, which has been passed down in the function as an argument. Create a variable result and apply the math and store the math. Okay. What's next? I get a result. Right, let me back up. Looping through the array. As I'm looping through the array, I grab the element, do some math on it, right? Which the math as the loop is going would be this box, if you recall that. If not, just go back. And then store that in the object. Store that in the object, right? And my question was, when I stored in the object, do I stop at 2 and blow the object away? Do it again, or do I continue to add more properties to that object? We'll see. All right, so next is grab the target sum, create the variable result, and store the math. Okay, so I'm doing the math, right? So that's on the first element. And then 4 would be when I get the result, so get result of 3.1, which is the step of 3.1, get result of step 3.1, right? And not push, but like add it to the object. Okay, 5.1. The key being the index, and the value equaling the result, which is here, this variable result, which is the end result of the math, right? So the adding to the object part, like just dumping that into the object, where is it? Here is the part that I need to think about a little more, because like I understand that the pair there needs to be a pair, and I know there's a, by using that math, the result of the target sum minus the value eventually will give me a pair that equals up to the total sum, a target sum, right? But when do I do that check? When does it do that? When do I do the actual comparison here? It has to be 2. That's the part I was trying to figure out the last time before I break. What do I have working for me here? I have an array that's working for me. Add it to the object, so I add one key value pair, key being the index of, actually this is 0, index of 0, excuse me, bugging, 0 and 1, add those two together. Do I keep track of it? I could keep track of it. I could add something else. I could add another component to this part here. I mean, is this live? No. Oh, it works. Awesome. All right. I could have over here, right? Let me see. So if I have index 0 and index 1, no, actually I want, let's say if I got to the index 2, so 2 and 3 is the pair, so that sits in index 1, index 2. Okay, so 2 and 3. And the end result of that is 5 minus 2, 5 minus 2, 3, and then 5 minus 3 is 2. Or backwards. Alright. I could have something that says I could have a tracker of some sort. Another variable that tracks. I guess I could do a tracker that says let tracker equal result plus equals the value, this guy here, the value in the parameter, right? So obj dot whatever I'm calling the object, right? So just say this. Oops. Obj dot v for value. Once that hits 5, so it would go here and had 3, and then when we get here, we add the second parameter, the second property, and we add the 2 to this, to plus equals, it would equal 5. And if tracker, so when tracker hits 5, when tracker equals 5, then we take this pair. I think something like that. So that begs the question about, like, do I continue to append or add new properties and do some check in there to see which one adds to 5? And if it adds to 5, I have to grab the indices there and throw that in an array and return that. Is that even possible to do? Am I shooting for the moon, the stars and moon here, the moon and stars with this? I want to do a check on the internet. The interwebs, as my buddy Tremaine would say. Shout out to Tremaine, if you're watching this. Alright, so is there a way, is it possible to some values in an object is it possible to count properties in the object? Properties in an object. JavaScript. A JavaScript for loop will iterate through all linked properties of an object. I don't want a for loop. I no quiere for loop. I already have one. Or do I use the one I have already to do that? Alright. A JavaScript for loop will iterate through all the linked properties of an object. To count the object's own enumerable properties, you may consider using another approach. Object.keys. Oh wait. To count the object's properties, object.keys, which only enumerates the object's own enumerable properties. A lot of enumerable. The word enumerable pops up like 5 times. Object.keys. Let's see. dzone. Let's see. This guy has a JavaScript for loop where we do to count objects. Okay, here you go. Object.keys. Can I have an example? Hey, where'd you go? Alright, to count the object's own immutable properties, you may consider using other approach, object.keys. Which only enumerates the object's own immutable properties. So, does he have an example? Okay, so we have two properties. He's saying, let's keep a count of the properties. So object.keys, passing the cat and checking the length of that. Oh, okay. I can use that maybe to. That's cool. Did not know you can do that. I may have done it before, but I sure don't recall. I may have done it somewhere along the lines in my studies. But anyway, that's cool. So I'm thinking this could be used as a mechanism to for the tracker here, right? As I'm going through the length of the properties, like how many properties are going to pop up out of this. When I hit 2, take the keys, the values of that, right, and add them up in the tracker. And if those add up to 5, then take those values and return it, because that's the pair. Right? If I do that, when I hit the 2, when length equals 2, do I replace the whole object again? Like, do I just wipe it out, clear it out, and then take the next 2? Or do I keep appending, adding more properties? But if I add more properties, this list is gonna get kind of big, which I haven't accounted for. And how do I use this tracker to keep track of things? All right, so I'm gonna back up and not even think about that part just yet. So I'm thinking using this somehow and this tracker and checking the length of the properties to say when it hits 2, then give me the result of the tracker, and does the tracker equal to the target sum? If it does, then return the values in the object. Sounds like it should work. Let me go back. Actually, wait, I don't want that. I want to keep that. I need that code. Where'd you go? Where did you go? Where did you go? There we go. All right, so I'm gonna move back here. All right, so I lost my train of thought. Where am I? So I'm adding to the object. Okay, cool. Index here, boom, boom. So in here, this is gonna be 5.0. I'm gonna say create a variable called and I can change this later. I'm just calling it tracker. That stores result plus equals Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. So our time has run out, but we're gonna just continue just for a hot second and close this up, and then go for our next break and then recap. All right, so result plus equals the object, whatever I'm gonna call it, the value of that as it goes along, as like each value is being pushed in, and hopefully I have to figure that out. It would be added on to the previous value, right? Cool. So there's some math there. So add property here. This is gonna be index and result, and I want to finish my thought before we end this Pomodoro. So we're going overtime. It's okay. Thank you if you're still with me and you're sticking along with my madness. And if you're scrubbing through the video, that's fine too. So add property, boom, and then we need to 5.2 would be to, and I'm gonna have to shift this around. Add a check that checks for the length of properties not to pass 2. To be less than or equal to, no, to equal to. So add a check. What I'm trying to say is add a check. Let's cut that short. Add a check for the length of properties to equal to 2, right? So we're saying once we hit 2, right? Once we do that, 5.3, and then that's the 5.3 will be this part, and I'll stop there, right? It'll be, so if, so boom, if right here, if the tracker strictly equals to target sum, then return object values, right? That'll give us, it'll return an array of the values that sits in those two properties. And that should be the pair right there. Something like that. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything before we go into our next break. But let me just recap here. So I'm saying create a for loop that loop through the array, grab the element, grab the target sum, create a variable that does the math, right? The target sum minus the value, get the result of step 3.1. So like I get the result, the variable, add it to the object, right? I'm gonna add, so I need to switch this around. These two need to kind of be switched. Add the property, the key being the index of that current element we are iterating over, and the value being the result of the math we did up here, which is target sum minus value. And then create a variable called tracker that stores the math of the values, the additions of all the values being stored in the object. And we're doing that here, right? And somewhere along the lines, we have to add a check for the length of the object. So when it hits 2, that's the pair right there. We want to just check those 2, right? So once the length of the properties hit 2, we do another check to say if the tracker is equal to target sum, the tracker being the math we did the math, and here's a picture of it here. The math we did here, up here, this tracker, if that math, which is adding these two values, right, the tracker is equal to target sum, then we have a pair. So use object.values to return these two bad boys. Okay, I'm comfortable with that. That's one approach. It may or may not work, but let's talk about it. Let's take our break, and we'll come back after the jump. So see you in a few minutes. All right, guys, welcome back. Cool. So we are at the last phase of this video, and I just want to quickly recap. So what we did was the first 2 or 3 phases of the problem-solving technique that I'm currently using, called Reacto. So we got to the R, the E, and the A, actually, and the C. So we're up to the coding part, specifically the pseudo coding. So I thought we made some progress, and actually I would like to ask you for some feedback. If you have any comments or feedback about some of the approaches or lack thereof in this video of trying to optimize the first solution, which was big O of n squared, down to, I'm gonna say, let's get it down to O of n. So we want linear time, and by throwing in an object in the mix. So if there's something that I'm missing, or there's some piece of feedback that you thought that I can use to improve my strategies, then please comment below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I would highly appreciate it. This is something that is not easy to do in front of a camera, in front of people. So again, my goal for this video series is to get better at 1, coding challenges, problem solving skills, communication, and just getting better at my ability to solve coding challenges, as I mentioned, and getting better at these algorithms and data structures to have a deeper understanding. So next video, we're actually gonna be picking up where we left off and get into wrapping up the pseudocode, and then move into actual code and see how we can test that code with some of the unit tests that they have available on Algo Expert. So that is next video. So please like and subscribe, and don't forget to comment if you have any feedback. And yeah, I appreciate your time. My name is Heriberto. This is Built by Getroman, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.